Mastering grid design is one of the key skills you're going to need to create beautiful WordPress websites, and today you're going to learn exactly how to do that as I recreate this beautiful layout. This video was actually inspired by watching one of my heroes videos, Kevin Powell, over on his YouTube channel, where he recreates this beautiful CSS grid by hand coding, but today we're going to just do it using the block editor. And after watching this video, in no time at all, you'll be creating your very own beautiful grid layouts. And there's loads of great learning coming up, including how to use the brand new grid block. It's really exciting, so check that out. Also, how to use the group block, the stack block, and the row block together, and some top pro tips that I'm going to tell you about that will save you a ton of time. Right, let's dive in. So I'm going to start by adding the grid block. So /grid as the keyboard shortcut. That'll start me off with the actual grid. And within the first section here, I'm going to put the group block and I'm going to choose the stack option here. And you'll see why in a second. And then just so I can see what I'm doing, I'm going to put some text into that group block. And if we click on the list view, you can see what I've got. I've got the grid block with a stack block and then a paragraph block underneath. And then over on the right here, I'm going to go to minimum column width and I'm going to set pixels. And this will set the minimum column width for my content. So this will work on mobile as well. This is why this is so powerful. And I'm going to set that at 250 pixels. Then I'm going to select the stack block over here. And I'm going to count how many content areas I need, and I need 5. So I'm just going to duplicate it 5 times. Now I've duplicated it 5 times. You can see I've got all the content areas. And then I'm going to set the width as wide width. You have 3 options: normal width, wide width, and full width. And next up, I want to create these spans that you can see over on the right. You can see the first content areas actually spans 2 columns. So I'm going to select it, and then using the breadcrumbs down below, I'm going to make sure I select the stack block, then come across to the right, click on the styles option, and then you'll see these lovely options down here: column span and row span. And in the first column span, I'm going to put 2, and that means that content area will now span 2 columns. I'm also going to set a minimum height here as well. So I start off with 450, but in a second, I'm going to reduce that down a little bit to about 350 just to make it a little bit narrower. Now I'm not replicating exactly the layout over on the right. I'm just getting the spirit of it. Then you see we've got these 2 columns here, and down in the second row now, you can see this one that I'm highlighting actually also needs to span 2. So I'm clicking into it and then selecting it using the breadcrumbs, click on styles. And for that one as well, I'm going to set 2 column span. And now we're close to achieving what we want, but we want this third content area here to actually span 2 rows. So I'm going to select it again, come across to styles, and in my row span option here, I'm going to select 2, and that means that will actually span 2 rows. Now you can't see it at the moment because I don't have a background color, but to show you that, I'm just going to select a quick background color just to show you it's actually working. Now it's time to style them. I'm going to start off by changing the background color. So I'm actually going to use a little Chrome extension called Colorzilla to select the background color, and then I'm going to select the stack block itself using the breadcrumbs down below, go to styles, and then I'm just going to jump into background color here. You can see you can also choose a background image, but I'm just going to choose a color today and pop in that hex color. And there we go, there's my background color. And then I'm just going to move across and do exactly the same thing for all these other content areas. Almost done. Let's just do this last one and then we'll have all the background colors as I want them. Again, I'm just using the background color and popping in that hex color that I copied across from the right. And there we go, there's my grid. My basic layout is now done. I've copied and pasted some text in. Now it's time just to add those little rounded corners on each of the content areas. So I'm jumping into styles after selecting the stack block and just adding 20 pixels as the radius. And I'm going to do this for each of my stack blocks. And there we go. Each of my content areas has these beautiful little rounded corners now. And then the final thing I need to do is have these little profile photos with their names aligned along to the right. And I'm going to use the row block for this. So I'm going to select my title block and go add before, then go /row. That'll create the row block. And now in the first section here, I'm just going to pop in an image block like so. I've already uploaded this. I'm just going to select image and choose it from my media library. Then I'm going to select the row block itself and just hit return, and that gives me the space just to write the name. And that means those are completely aligned now. The image is aligned because I've added it in the row block. And within the row block, you can add any other block. So here, for example, I've added a stack block within the row block. And that allows me to have their person's name and their job title directly underneath. And I can also have a different font size for the job title and the name as well, which gives me a bit more control. And I can also vary the line height between those two paragraph blocks as well. That's one of the big advantages of putting those blocks within a stack block. One of the great features about the block editor is you can copy and paste styles. And that's what I'm doing here because my title font is a little bit too big. So I've reduced it, click copy style, and now I'm just pasting that style to each of my other content areas. This is a great time saver. And here's my finished grid layout. I think it looks absolutely beautiful. Didn't take long at all, took about 5 minutes in total. And because we're using the grid block and we set the minimum width for our content areas, it works beautifully on mobile and also tablets. Just a quick note on how to get the grid block. If you're a WordPress.com user, you don't need to install anything because Gutenberg comes pre-installed on your WordPress.com account. If you're not a WordPress.com user, then you just need to go off and install the Gutenberg plugin and the grid block will be available for you. And if you want to test this out for yourselves on WordPress.com, just go to WordPress.com/Jamie and you can take out a free trial. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this, if you can hit that like button down below now, it would be fantastic because it makes a huge difference in terms of how many people get to see this video. It really, really does. So thank you if you can hit that like button. If you want to see more videos in this series, hit that subscribe button and you'll be notified every time we release a new one. Keep well, and I'll see you soon. Bye for now.